Hey everybody, we took like a 15-minute break and we're back. Why? Because it's bundle week, right? The 2024 vegan bundle is out. We have Chef James Sant with us today, and he's going to be making a super secret surprise recipe. I don't know what it is yet. It's going to be very exciting. It looks very colorful so far. I see some beautiful greens, oranges, and reds. And so I'm going to go ahead and let Chef James introduce himself to you and talk a little bit about what he has in the bundle, what he does in general, how you can find him. And of course, especially if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, it could be a different place. But if you go down to where the description is, click the 3 dots, and then you can get all of that information. I see Apple is back, Marilyn is back, Betsy. Apple says the marathon continues. Indeed it does. It is an exciting vegan time all over the web for the next few days. So Chef James, are you ready to kind of introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm ready to go.
Okay, great.
I'm getting an echo on my end. I'm going to try my hardest to make it work because I'm hearing double when I hear you talking to me.
Well, just go ahead and introduce yourself. How about that?
All right. So I'm Chef James Sant, and I have the Vital Vegan for every season in the bundle package. And this will be a live seasonal 8-class event that happens 2 in the spring, 2 in the summer, 2 in the fall, 2 in the winter, where I will go to the farmer's market and or to the garden, grab fresh ingredients, and make incredible food. This is what I do. I've been teaching this for over 10 years now. I was the lead instructor and culinary director at Living Life Culinary Institute, which is the only raw vegan chef certification program in the world. I've taught and certified chefs from all over the world. I currently have a new academy called Plant Food Culinary Arts. That's at plantfoodculinaryarts.com. I have over 3,000 people going through courses from around the world, and they tap in right here in my kitchen in the Mendocino Coast area in California to learn everything about whole food plant-based, a huge emphasis on the power of raw food, but also gently cooked vegan. So it's a fusion of raw and gently cooked vegan. Raw for healing, and it is very powerful and wonderful, and I absolutely agree on that. And believe me, I can do every ethnic. A lot of people want to involve some cooking, but how can we do that better with less
Chef
oil or
James?
no oil and less heat and holding on to the nutrition? That's what I teach.
Chef James, your audio is really choppy. Do you know where is your microphone? Is it on your person or is it in front of you where you're speaking
It
into?
is the mic on my computer.
You might need to speak up a little bit more because when it goes down, it kind of comes in out a little bit, like
Okay.
that.
We can move it closer.
Okay, so talk and let's test it out. That's it. Oh,
So is it picking up better now?
it seems to be from that one sentence. Yeah. So why don't
Okay.
you kind of start
All
a
right.
couple of sentences back and try again since we weren't able to hear that very well. Can you just kind of go ahead and do a quick introduction again since some people weren't hearing you very well?
Yeah. To put it in a nutshell, I'm a culinary instructor and director of an academy online.
No, it just
And
started going bad again. So I'm not sure what's going. Can you?
yeah,
But see, when you're talking
I'm going to
normally, it's coming
try
through.
moving
Do you
to a
want?
different camera here. With the,
It's the microphone, I think.
okay, just 1 second here. Um, if we can, if I can come in through this other device, I think that I
Yes,
can
you can.
have
Just
a
go ahead and
better.
go out and come back in on that same link on whatever device, and that should work just
Okay,
fine. We'll see
Yep.
how that's doing.
Yep.
let's do it.
Okay, he's going to come back out and then come back in, and you're going to get to see me like put him in two places. So you'll get to know the big secrets of all of it.
The back end magic.
Exactly. Really, it's not that magical. It's not that magical at all, but sometimes that's the only thing when we do new things. It's sometimes you have to kind of figure out what works and what doesn't work.
Here he comes.
Excellent. So let's get you in on my side here. Can you talk for a minute so I can make sure we're hearing you
Okay.
okay?
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's hard to know if it's going to chop up when you say short sentences, but we'll find out soon enough. Let me get you in the other place.
I've never heard of this streaming service you're using. It's interesting.
It's a very common one. It is a Mac OS only, so it's used by a lot of people.
All right.
Yeah.
I just need to. Take me 1 second here because I want to plug in. I switched to my iPhone, and I need to make sure to plug it in so that
That's a good thing.
the battery will not run out while we're doing this. So let me get it plugged in real quick.
Absolutely. And we can go back here so we can try and entertain you a little bit for sure. Hopefully the echo will go away. Yeah, and we all know he was cutting in and out. Oh, you're so funny. Denise says, Kathy, you are always magic. And so I have a shirt that says, kindness is magic. And that's how I feel. The sound is much better, yeah. I think it had to do with him having perhaps a laptop further away. Absolutely. And Apple said we might just need to extend some grace and patience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the thing is the fact that we can live stream at all is just kind of miraculous.
Yeah.
And that we get to see all the things that we see and do all the things we do. It's kind of awesome. Maybe a magic trick. I have no magic tricks. This is the juggling I can do. Look, it's 7. No, I'm just kidding. I can't juggle at all. I am still eating on the sandwich I made earlier. Look, so I'm almost done with my breakfast sandwich, and it's almost dinner time. So that is how bundle week goes sometimes.
Okay, head cut off there. Let's
Just
see
a little
here.
bit.
Yeah.
Be able to kind of see what I'm doing. Vitamix. Can you see the stove here?
Yep.
We sure can.
All right, and you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So
I have no
let's
echo, so it's much better. And
let's just start from scratch and introduce yourself and talk about yourself, and everything else just disappeared into the ether, and we start fresh right where we are.
right. Okay. So I'm going to show you something really great today that actually emulates what I teach. This is a recipe you can do fully raw vegan, or you can do it cooked, and it's delicious either way. I'm going to do a comfort food. I have my grandchild here that's 2 years old. I had fun filming a lot of stuff with him because I'm working on a whole series about getting kids in the kitchen, and this recipe came out of that. My name is Chef James Sant. I was the culinary lead instructor and then director of Living Light Culinary for over 10 years here on the Mendocino Coast in California, one of the most award-winning raw vegan chef programs in the world. So I've seen a lot from around the world. I've trained chefs from every corner of the earth, and I run a new academy called Plant Food Culinary Arts. That's at plantfoodculinaryarts.com, and you can go on and check out all about my courses there. And I have over 3,000 students worldwide that are going through all the various stages, from organizing the perfect plant-based kitchen to an comprehensive knife skills and equipment skills for the vegan kitchen course, to a 101 course, and then the mastery course where they go live with me every week throughout the year, like you're seeing now, in my kitchen to learn seasonal, incredible gourmet applications of raw and gently cooked vegan. So what I have in the bundle package, that's what we're here to promote, is called Vital Vegan for Every Season. So I'm going to go twice in the spring, twice in the summer, twice in the fall, and twice in the winter with a live, spontaneous recipe that I pull together on the spot from that CSA box, the farmer's market, my fresh garden, whatever it might be, because this is what we all deal with when, especially if you're getting something like a CSA box. I get messages all the time where people are like, here's my box, what do I make? And I'm trying to get them to have fun with it, relax into it, understand the basic principles of putting sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent together, the textures, the mouthfeel, emulating all of your favorite recipes and converting them to plant-based, whole food plant-based, and not use high refined sugars, fractionated oils, and turn to whole fats and natural forms of sweetener, so we don't negate the desserts or anything. We just find better ways by using miso or seaweed or different things to get deeper flavors into our dishes. Okay, so today I'm going to show a macaroni and cheese. And this one I will be serving up tonight with.
Cheryl loves macaroni and cheese. That's one of her
Yeah.
favorites. So Cheryl may be a grown-up, but she has a kid's palate. She's getting better. But so one of the things is when I started writing cookbooks, I would say my picky eater Cheryl, and they'd be like, how old is she? Thinking she was like a 10-year-old. I'm like, no, she's 50. She's 50.
I'm so excited for the mac and cheese. This is great.
That's awesome. Oh, it's always a winner. It just is, you know. With every age, it brings out the child in adults, and children love it, you know. And I served it up to everyone when my grandson Arlo was here last week, and everyone, all the way up to an 82-year-old and down to a 2-year-old, loved it that was here eating the meal. It has a smoky, cheesy sauce, but this one is different. A lot of them you see out there are going to rely on cashews in the vegan world or something along that line to make them creamy. What I'm going to rely on is my own hand-rolled oats, raw oats. And I like everything to be as optimally nutritious as it is. You could do this with any rolled oats, but I happen to roll my own. I have a gizmo that goes on the front of my KitchenAid, and I can roll my own oats. I can even sprout those oats, then dehydrate them, and then roll them through the roller and have sprouted oats that are raw, vegan, and more healthy than anything you can buy, because if you didn't know, they do cook oats at a very hot temperature to flatten and roll them, so they're not truly raw. If you're using oats in raw food applications and you're buying commercial oats, even if they're organic, they're not really raw. So you're doing a little bit of fusion with cooked. But this way, I have total control. So these are truly raw oats because I made them myself. Okay, so the way that people get into and become passionate about what I teach is that I like to do everything from scratch, and I go down rabbit holes. You know, I will sprout every seed, every grain, every bean, everything to life before I use it, because I teach living foods. So I'm also using sunflower seeds in this. This is nut-free. This is a nut-free and vegetable wonderful cheese sauce. The sprouted sunflower seeds I sprouted and then dehydrated. So these are S&D sunflower seeds. So they're sprouted and then dehydrated. So they have the life force energy activated in them. Now you could use normal organic sunflower seeds. It'll be fine. But I like to just go for that gusto of totally optimized food for those that want to take the time to do it. But, you know, I'm very clear, just buy some commercial organic rolled oats. That'll be fine. Or organic sunflower seeds. That'll be fine. But if you want to go that extra level, I'll show you how to get there and sprout things as well. We're going to have carrots, and carrots are very healthy. These are, of course, very fresh carrots here. I only need probably about that amount. I'm going to take the greens off. I always save the greens. That becomes pesto. That goes in my soup stock. So many great applications for carrot greens, especially when I get them from the farmer's market. They're very tasty. I even cut them up and put them fresh in salads. So don't ever throw away your carrot greens. Always use those. I'm going to just chop these up and do a rough chop on them because everything's going into Vitamix. So when we're doing Vitamix, we're a high-powered source of blending up foods. We don't have to do fine chops, so we do what we call a rough chop. You know, you don't need to, everything doesn't have to be exactly the same size. It's called a rough chop in the culinary world. So actually, before I put those in, let's put the high water content thing in first. So first in the blender, I'm going to put bell pepper. This is the other culprit here, and I'm going to put red and orange. And I have a female and a male here. 3 nodes on the bottom and 4 nodes on the bottom. 4 nodes is a female, 3 nodes is a male. If you didn't know that, a little bit of anatomy on the bell peppers there. Only people that are breeding them and intermingling them need to know that, but I love food trivia. So I'm going to cut the ends off that, then make 1 slice down the side. You can take your chef knife and whip it around the bell pepper and easily take the core out, which goes in the soup stock, and then you have a long sheet here, which is really easy to just chop up, stack it up, and do a quick rough chop on it and get it into the blender. Orange and red and yellow all work great for this. We're going for emulating that cheddar cheese kind of color, right? This is a macaroni and cheese. So the carrots and the bell pepper work wonderfully in this recipe. Now I'm not putting cashews in here. Cashews, a lot of people have problems with, and I agree, and I think they're overused in the vegan world. I use them occasionally, but I don't think that they're necessary all the time, and I like to come up with recipes that have alternatives. I do a lot of vegan catering. I've been doing huge groups down in Berkeley, California, AI conferences, artificial intelligence conferences, and good on them. They are doing all plant-based, vegetarian and vegan for all the students that come from around the world. They often have people that have such bad nut allergies, they go into anaphylactic shock if there are any nuts in the kitchen. So many times over the last 2 years, I've had to have a nut-free kitchen completely. But I still want to do good vegan food. So I came up with this recipe because I needed to have a good macaroni and cheese to serve up to these students that didn't have any nuts in it. Okay, so that's where the incentive came for this one. I'm going to cut the ends of those carrots off. Those go in the soup stock as well. Just do a rough chop here on the carrots. And maybe I'll put 1 more carrot in there. I'm looking for about 2 cups worth.
We're getting a lot of high praise from folks in the comments that have been mentioning having seen your work before and talking about what a great deal the bundle is with your stuff in it, that they were very excited to see the amount of stuff from you in the bundle.
Awesome. I always try and put something that is value packed in there. And you know, for $49, I can go out to all the people that have been following me and didn't want to take the extra stretch to spend $800 and get in my chef program to go live with me, because this kind of interaction is great with my students. And there's an elite amount of the 3,000 students that are going through that have paid to have that weekly with me. And I thought this year in the bundle package, I'm going to create something. I can't do it every week with something like this that's worth $295. And people can, even after the bundle package is over, they can still buy into this, but they're going to miss out because you get it for $49 if you get it this week. And then it goes back to $295 for anyone in the world that wants to tap in with me 8 times a year for, for these great workshops that I'm going to do seasonal. So this is about seasonal. They'll all be about what is fresh and seasonal at the moment that they are filmed. So I love coming up with something great for the package. I've been doing
sounds like it.
I came on board with the first one. Was on Chef AJ's show long before we even did the bundle packages. So she brought me on board for the first time we did the bundle package. I think they're great. It's wonderful. And I think back when I got into, I've always been vegetarian, but I really made the move to plant-based and vegan when I had a debilitating injury that paralyzed my arms, and I had lost control of my own life and was at the hands of Western doctors who wanted to do a ton of surgeries and have me on 5 different medications. And I said, enough, I want my own healing journey. And that led me into a whole new career because I successfully subverted and did not do neck fusion surgery, healed myself, got full usage of my arms back, and thus began an incredible journey into understanding pH balance and the healing powers of food and food as medicine. I used the settlement from the accident that created the problem to fully go to culinary training and culinary school to become an instructor because it was so powerful what it did to my life. I wanted to share this with the world. And I did. And I immediately got noticed by Sherry Soria and hired on as a lead instructor at Living Light Culinary Institute in Fort Bragg, California, and then eventually became the director there. So it's been a fantastic journey, passionate, fantastic journey doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at this
That's
point.
Awesome. So
yeah,
listen, since you're such a wealth of knowledge, Ann Harrison has a question for you. Do you
Okay.
know if avocados have properties of nuts those with nut allergies shouldn't have? She saw that on a murder mystery and wondered.
Okay. So avocados and what about nuts and in
So
relation?
She's wondering if people who have nut allergies also will have allergies to avocados. Because so basically she said, do avocados have the property of nuts, meaning that those with nut allergies shouldn't have them? It could be fiction. She saw it on a murder mystery. So I think that was the murder solved, but I don't know.
Stretch. I'm just scanning back in all the years of me teaching people from all over the world and definitely running into people with nut allergies, and I never had a correlation with it where that transcended over to coconut, which people also ask about, or avocados.
Right.
I didn't really see a correlation there. Usually that was fine. If
When I
someone
think
did happen to have a coconut allergy, that was because they also had a coconut allergy. It's not because it was a nut.
Right. Well, the coconut thing got put into the top allergens because somebody who was doing the paperwork saw nut and put it in. I heard this from somebody else. Though some people could be allergic to anything, but it's not. Yeah, it doesn't have a nut property. Right. It's interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. So I'm also going to put in some, for depth of flavor, some soaked dried tomatoes. I do when tomatoes are in season, and these are some that I had dried up and almost used them up here that were heirloom tomatoes from the farmer's market, and some friends that gave me a bunch last summer, and I put them in the dehydrator and dry them up for usage throughout the year. So they're just in the pantry, but they have a concentrated flavor that is the equivalent of putting tomato paste in. If you just put them in some warm water and heat them up and let them rehydrate and then add them in the mix here. So those are going in, and that's just about depth. We're creating layers of yummy umami flavor of different kinds in here. Someone could use an organic tomato paste if they didn't have dried tomatoes like I always have on hand because it's one of my staples in my kitchen and in my program. But you could use tomato paste if an organic tomato paste. I'm doing this as a raw vegan or cooked. And in raw vegan, of course, you wouldn't want to use anything out of a can because that's highly processed. So truly whole food.
In my community, a lot of times we'll use tomato powder as well. So I'll dehydrate tomatoes and just go ahead and turn it to powder.
Yeah. Tomatoes hold on to a lot of sodium out of the soil. So you got to be careful with tomato powder because it can be really salty, I feel. It can make a dish too salty and too powerful. Be judicious in using tomato powder. We used to make that at Living Light too, and we use it quite a bit. Because I taught the gourmet program so much, I started leaning more towards the gourmet dishes were better with some hydrated dried tomatoes than they were the tomato powder. So that's the way I lean now as far as bringing that depth. And the cool thing, by the way, in conversion, in cooked versus raw, when you've dried something and then rehydrated it like that, the tomatoes have the flavor, sweetness, and feel and taste of tomatoes that have been sauteed in a pan, okay? Then reduced down, like when you're making a sauce, okay? That's why we bring in that dried, rehydrated. Onion powder and garlic powder are the same. Quick tip here for all the raw foodists out there. If you're putting fresh onion and fresh garlic in a dish, also put some powdered onion and powdered garlic in there because they have a sweetness, because they're a dehydrated version of those, that emulates the cooked version of those. The sweeter onion flavor, the sweeter garlic flavor. So if you want levels of flavor going on, go ahead and put the fresh in, but also put the dry in, and you'll see that it boosts the flavor in beautiful ways. So that's why I'm using the dried tomatoes to bring in, along with all these fresh ingredients, that depth of flavor. A very common thing, and this is optional, is some nutritional yeast. Some people don't like to use it, and if you don't want to use it, you can just put in a little bit more of the light chickpea miso that I'm putting in, okay? They have a very similar thing they bring to the party. in the umami that they bring into the flavor palette, okay? So I'm going to put that in there. I also have miso. I don't do commercial salt. I think this recipe works without adding any refined salt in it. So the sodium we're going to bring in is a fermented, healthy miso. And miso also has that what we call umami, that deep flavor that it brings to something that is so wonderful. A few little magical ingredients I have here, and I do have garlic powder and onion powder going in there for the depth of flavor. That was only the garlic. Let's get out the onion powder there. Don't want to miss out on that one. There we go.
Got another question for you from Mary Nell Spicer. Do you cook at the wonderful Stanford Inn and Resort on the Mendocino Bay, on-site certified organic gardens, and the resort's whole plant-based Ravens restaurant?
No, but I do know the owners, and you know, I taught the Culinary Institute right up the road from them, and everyone that's vegan on the coast knows each other. So Stanford Inn has the Ravens restaurant, and Sid runs it, and the owner also, and they have a wonderful, longest run that I know of a truly vegan resort. They might be the only one in the country, totally vegan and pet friendly. If you have dogs, bring them with you because they're welcome in all the hotel rooms. You can take them down to dinner with you at the table even. So it's a pet friendly resort too. Beautiful gardens. In fact, I stole the gardener clay that they had years ago to come and create the gardens for Living Light. But they have beautiful vegan gardens, veganic growing practices in their gardens. Wonderful place. I like it. They did try to hire me on just last year as their head chef, but I was too busy running my own academy, to tell you the truth. And so they're great. There's also Fog Eaters Cafe. If you're ever in Mendocino, you got to check that one out. Wonderful vegan cafe. So shout out to them as well. Okay, so I got the onion and garlic powder in there. Now I'm going to put some smoked paprika. This is a really wonderful one that I got over in England. I'm not sure if you can get it here. I was doing a chefing gig for the AI group in the UK and Netherlands last year, and this is Steenberg's organic smoked paprika. Any smoked paprika could work. This one is a bright color and just an incredible flavor. There's just different qualities of smoked paprika out there. Now, once again, we're talking about the same thing. We have fresh bell pepper in here, and now we have dried bell pepper in here. Because what is paprika? Dried bell pepper. It's in the bell pepper family, the paprika pepper. It's a sweet pepper. So now we have the dried version and the fresh version. So we're creating layers of flavor going on there. If you don't want the smoky quality in the cheese sauce, you can use just regular paprika, just a sweet paprika, and stay away from the smoked version. Okay, so I'll let you decide how you want to fly on that. I'm going to put about a cup of my hand-rolled oats here, but you could use just commercial rolled oats. Now, on oats are just such a great powerhouse to have in your diet. We all know they're great for heart health. And just if you could have some oats every day, there's many plant-based doctors that would say do it. Find a way to put them in there because they're very healthy for you. But they also have this mucilage that happens. If you've ever tried to make your own oat milk, you'll know what I'm talking about. Because if you build up some heat while you're blending it down in a Vitamix or anything and then try to put it through a nut milk bag, there's all this slime that comes out of it. It's kind of like the slime that you would see after cooking chickpeas, the aquafaba, that you could also use for other applications in vegan cooking. That same slimy creaminess is what makes this a stretchy, wonderful cheese. Okay, so the oats play an important role in this. Poured out a little bit too much there. Get the right amount there. Putting those in there. Then we have our sunflower seeds, the sprouted sunflower seeds. So these are my sprouted and dehydrated sunflower seeds. They have, if you could see into this jar closer, you'd see that there's little tails popping out on them because they were sprouted. But if you just have organic ones, that would be fine as well. About a quarter cup of those going in there. Instead of cashews. No cashews. This is a nut-free version of a cheese sauce, remember. Okay? And then two other ingredients. that I don't often see in vegan cheese sauces, but to me are a game changer. I love them. And I always have a bottle of this. This comes from my macrobiotic training in the 80s, and I've never given up on it. I love umeboshi plums. And this is umeboshi plum vinegar, okay? If you didn't have this, you could just use a little splash of a living vinegar, like a apple cider vinegar with the mother in it. I'm all about living foods, and so I would prefer that. And so I'm going to put some umeboshi plum vinegar in here. And this just creates that, it's that acid that comes in the sweet, sour, salty, bitter, pungent that just rounds it out in a beautiful way and has just a very unique flavor to it that creates something wonderful in the cheesy factor, in the flavor, okay? And then my other little secret ingredient here is mustard powder. This is yellow mustard seeds ground into a powder. Also gives a real great depth to a vegan cheese flavor. So that's going to go in there. And then we're going to put some hot water in there. And I don't want to put boiling water in there because I'm showing this raw vegan. So I put the teapot on there for a little bit. But I'm going to put I'm combining a cup of boiled with a cup of fresh water here. Just so that we're staying in the raw vegan zone here. We're not going to put boiling water into here. Now, someone could if they were doing a total cooked version of this. But if you want to stay raw vegan, warm water is what we want going in here. Why do we want warm water going in here? Well, the Vitamix is going to create some friction, which we need because it's going to activate and bring to life our next secret ingredient here, which really makes this a wonderful cheese. And what by that I mean it's like a stretchy cheese. You could put it into jalapeno poppers. You could put it on a pizza and it would be stretchy and wonderful on a pizza. Leave it thick if you're going to be putting it on pasta, like I'm going to do. We have people coming over for dinner today that aren't raw vegan, so I'm going to cook up some gluten-free macaroni. And I'm going to put this on macaroni, and I'm going to put steamed broccoli with it as well, and create a macaroni and cheese with broccoli in it. We're having also the garden burgers I made from carrot pulp yesterday in a live video. And so those will be at the table as well. We're going to have burgers and macaroni and cheese, all American food today. So that's the direction I'm going with this. But this same recipe, just so you know, you can add more water than what I'm adding here and thin it to become a beautiful cheesy broccoli soup or cheesy cauliflower soup, which is incredible. And just serve it up as a soup as well. Okay, and you can skip this last ingredient if you're only doing it as a soup, and it will work beautifully. This is arrowroot, and also comes from my macrobiotic training. Okay, if you didn't have arrowroot and you couldn't find organic arrowroot, you could use cornstarch. I'm not a fan of cornstarch because I never know if it's GMO or anything like that. I like arrowroot. It's the root of a plant that also has the same thickening effect. You could also use tapioca starch. Anything that is we want a starch in there to create the stretchiness on the cheese, right? But arrowroot, if you just put it into a recipe and blend it up, it's not going to get activated. It needs a heat level to rise. So I'll blend this up. Then we're going to put the arrowroot in and keep blending. And what you'll hear is the vitamin, and I don't know if the microphone will cut it out on here or not, but what happens is it'll all be blending down. It'll be at a high pitch. And then you can hear the pitch of the Vitamix start to thicken and pull down as the arrowroot gets activated. It will thicken up in the blender, and then you reach the spot. I can just tell intuitively it gets very thick, and that's wonderful, and that's what I want. You want it thicker if you're going to be coating pasta with it, so it sticks to the pasta, and that's what we're going to be shooting for. And you're always going to have a little bit of play at the other end. In fact, let me get a little bit more water here and cool this down.
So someone asked, what about kudzu as a thickener?
That works as well, and that's also from macrobiotics. I love that. Kudzu. Yes, that is a great one as well. Same thing, it needs to get activated. So you're going to blend it up, and then you're going to put it in. I'm not putting this in yet. We'll blend it up first. So let that blend up. And I'm just watching on the side here. You can see the little bits breaking up, and just watch till you get everything fully broken up in there. You can take a look at it. It's got a beautiful color. And such a good smell. So, I mean, and we will do a flavor balancing test on it, but I'm gonna blend a little further. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna stop and show you first this beautiful cheese sauce, and the color is exactly like the best cheddar cheese you've ever seen. But this is more of a soup texture here, okay? This is how you would want it as a soup. And if you're going to do the broccoli cheddar soup or the cauliflower cheddar soup, just stop here. And personally, if I was doing a side note here, broccoli or cauliflower, I like to do a quick blanch on them. I think that especially in broccoli, it tastes better. You pull the chlorophyll to the surface, it gets darker and more flavorful on broccoli. Break it all into the florets. Just do a quick steam on a steamer basket on your stove, and then put it in. You're not cooking it all the way through. It's still 90% raw, but believe me, it's a gourmet edge. And this is what I mean, gently cooked, that fuses the best of vegan, healthy vegan, and raw together, okay? Yes, you could put just raw broccoli florets in there, but I like to take it up a notch and make it more delicious. So I would say slightly steam them and then put them in for your soup, okay? And it would be ready to serve. This is warm already, and it's even going to get hotter because we're going to keep blending and put in our arrowroot here because I want it thicker so that we can put it on pasta. So I'm going to put the lid on, get it blending, and pour that in the top. Listening to the sound here. Just waiting.
I totally understand. I make an oat queso in a very similar way. So some of the people have been trained to listen for that different sound.
This is a great tool to have too, especially if you're doing cooked raw fusion, because if you're ever curious about what temperature you're at, get a digital thermometer. This is like a gun, like a speed gun that a cop has when you're going by on the highway, but you can have the speed on your food here and know exactly within one beep, it shoots out a little laser, comes right back at it, and tells you exactly the temperature you're looking at. So let's go into here and see that this is at 113. So it's still in the raw zone, and it has already activated the arrowroot here and thickened up. And it's at 113 degrees. Oh, it goes back down when I lift it up. I was going to try and show it to you, but it is, believe me. It's at 113. That's what it says. It actually went up 1 degree. It was at 114 when I did it that time. But now it's a beautiful, thick, cheesy sauce that will easily coat my pasta. Now, I have guests coming over that are not raw vegan tonight. So I'm going to do fusion here because the sauce actually is raw vegan that we're putting on this, but I'm going to use some cooked pasta with it. So that's, again, where we're bringing the best of raw and some cooked together. I don't normally do pasta myself, but, you know, I entertain all kinds of different people, and I serve all kinds of different people as a caterer. I'm very active in doing events all summer long and all year round in vegan, whole food, plant-based food. And so I can go and spiralize some zucchini and squeeze it out and put this on there if I wanted to do a pasta that was truly raw vegan with the cheese sauce on it and some broccoli in it. So there are options for doing raw pasta that you can do and keep this a completely raw vegan dish, or just serve it up as just broccoli that you have. And some people in the raw food, it's like one way or the other. I've seen raw foodists that say, well, freeze the broccoli, because then when you thaw it, it has that al dente kind of thing. Well, I'm not sure what the difference is in the diminishment of nutrition personally between freezing it and slightly blanching it like I do. Both of them are going to have an effect on it. I personally say just steam it and then put it in there. And you've got something that's 98% raw. You just change the texture a little bit to make it more beautiful and enjoyable to eat. Okay, so that's my vegan smoky cheddar cheese sauce. That's what we made today. I'm going to be steaming broccoli and putting it with some gluten-free macaroni to serve up with burgers later, because we're doing an all-American meal here. We'll probably do an apple huckleberry crumble also to go with that, which is very American as well. Okay. So, the bundle. Let's get back to talking about this incredible package that we're all taking part in here. I'm so blown away, completely blown away, by all of the offerings this time. I've done this every time from the beginning, and I've been actively looking ever since Chef AJ and Lissa put out the list, or our access, the contributors to the entire thing, and I've barely scratched the surface. First, I went through and looked at all the people, including yourself, that I knew, because I always like to see what people that I've been in the bundle with before are putting into the bundle. But then there's all these new people, and as always, doctors in there that have great packages. Rick and Karen Dina are in there even. They ran the nutrition program where I taught at Living Like Culinary, so we know each other well. Highly recommend. They are so up to date on the exact current science of everything going on in raw food nutrition. Powerhouse of knowledge. I don't know if there's anyone that spends as much time actively investigating it and putting together beautiful, up-to-date curriculum as Rick and Karen Dina. So, well worth it. The $49 just to get their access. There's so many things in here.
Right.
So well worth it.
It's very true. There's a lot of stuff in there for sure. And your class is obviously worth more than the price of the bundle. I added in another class. So I'd put in a balsamic vinegar class. We have a book that we wrote. And then I put a summer bundle of classes in there as well.
Yeah.
Because when we were close to 8,000, I was like, how can I help get this up over 8,000?
To bump it over, right?
Right. So I have 6 classes in there as well. But like Chef Julia's Japanese book, but also like one of the things I'm very curious about is Drina Burton's fascia class. So we were talking about that earlier today. So there's exercise stuff and yoga and fitness, and
Absolutely.
so wherever you are now, this is one of the things that because I've been in the bundle since the beginning as well. So one of the things I tell people, or I like to think about, is like, if you start to feel overwhelmed, it's good if you can just get all the stuff down, put it on a thumb drive or a USB drive, or put it on a Google Drive, because it's big. Free is big enough to put that there. Just make sure that for the classes that you sign up for the classes before the year is out. You have a year to download everything or sign up for your classes. It's not hard to do at all. And then if you feel a little overwhelmed, so just get as much down as you can, just have it. And then maybe pick 1 or 2 things that you're really interested in now, like it's going to be warmer sooner. Maybe you want to get some of the raw food stuff and start on it.
And I was going to say, like, I had this whole different, like, I'm kind of new to like the cooking side of things and everything. And I was just kind of blown away that this was raw, right? So in my mind, when I think of raw vegan, I'm thinking about munching on a carrot fresh out of the refrigerator, like, and everything just like being raw stuff. And like, so I was just thoroughly amazed by this cheese sauce.
Be gourmet. Yes, I can show you What I would like to remind people of is that if you've ever been in a hot tub in your life, you wouldn't get in if it was 120 degrees. If you stuck your toe in a 120-degree hot tub, you'd go run and go, no way, I'm not getting in there. Well, 120 degrees is still within the raw zone. So people don't realize that it doesn't have to be cold or just room temperature to serve something raw. Just use a thermometer and be in control of what you are doing if you want to hold on to more phytonutrients, vitamins, and minerals. And you can teach yourself techniques. I show people how to, like if we're making a pho or a minestrone or whatever it is, even if it's a cooked version, you won't see me putting the vegetables in until right at the end on the stove.
Right.
And cutting them thinner than not the big chunky stewed vegetables that people put in a crock pot or instant pot and cook for hours at a time and diminish greatly the vitamins and phytonutrients. Well, phytonutrients and enzymes are just gone at higher temperatures, but a lot of the vitamins are even diminished the longer you sit and boil something or simmer it on the stove. So why not cut that time down? You can bring if you're doing a broth or it needs to boil to get the flavors out of some herb patches or whatever you have in there, and then you can let it cool down. Remember, you have got your thermometer. You can use a mandolin, a thin slicer, cut up your veggies thinner, and just put them in right before you're going to serve. Stir it all together. You've got a wonderful pho, minestrone, whatever it is, with the vegetables being at their optimum. Even if you're doing broccoli or cauliflower, tiny, tiny florets. Cut them way down so that they use the residual heat within a more safe zone to hold on the nutrition. So this is a fusion of raw and cooked together, so you get total optimized food, and it really does work. It's just a different way of thinking about. It's not throw it all in the Instant Pot and turn it on and walk away and let it pressure cook for an hour. It's more time at the stove, being attentive, but seeing it as an adventure, a fun adventure, right? I see my kitchen as my playground, my culinary playground. And you've got to adopt that mindset, and then you're going to have fun.
That sounds great. We have a question about the temperature tool you're using. So someone, Mary Nell is wondering, can it also tell you the heat of a pan? Could you give,
Yes.
and Apple put your link in for the purchase of
Yes,
of
and
that
it's
as
called
well.
an infrared thermometer. And if you look this up, you're going to see many different companies that make these. It's a very common culinary tool for safety. I am a registered chef, by the state of California, and you have to know all the temperatures that different things have to be served at to be food safe. So any good chef should have a digital thermometer on them. So you can check out anything you're making and know if it's safe, okay? So these are not expensive at all, very easy to get. On Amazon, look it up, you'll see many varieties. They shoot a laser out, see the little laser on my hand there, and it goes to the surface, bounces back. That says I'm 92 degrees, 92.8 degrees on my hand. It'll give you the surface temperature of anything. The oven, if you're checking your oven, to check your oven temperature versus your dial and see if it is accurate or not, works great. A pan, a sauce, anything you need. This is a game changer. Highly recommend it. That's in my chef bag wherever I go. Okay, so
Awesome.
these kind of things are the great tips that can optimize a normally healthy whole food vegan diet, but even make it more healthy. Let's bring that more towards the category of raw and do a marriage of them together. That's what my whole academy is about. And I had a guess or an intuition about this because even I can tell you the director of Living Light, Sherry Soria, had some cooked food at home. I know her personally. I've been to her home. People say, oh, the queen of raw? She wasn't 100% raw? No, she's high raw. And she did involve some rice every now and then, or some beans, or different things like that. And I thought, if all of us in the raw food world, even at the top chef program, are including some cooked, why don't we put it in the program? So the last 2 years at Living Light, I created the Cooked Raw Fusion course. And it was selling better than the raw food chef course right before we closed due to COVID. And I knew I had hit a rail there that was important and what people wanted in optimized, healthy vegan food. So that's why I created a new academy, the Plant Food Culinary Arts, and brought the best of raw together, gourmet raw, and the best of whole food plant-based without those fractionated oils, which, by the way, Raw was using too much of, and I had to totally rewrap my brain around it after meeting people like Chef AJ and other doctors, Furman, Clapper, all these different people that showed me the effects of oil on the diet and the fats and making healthier choices, and processed sugars, of course, which I always had stayed away from, even at Living Light. But bringing the best of all that knowledge together in Raw and finding a happy marriage so that people, and I'm high raw, so I eat a lot of raw, but I'm not afraid to bring in some cooked. So
Nice.
yeah, but all of this emulates also what you'll see in this package, because this package is full of a lot of the most incredible raw you'll see, and healthy, whole food, plant-based vegan. And you can do the fun work yourself of taking recipes from both and or looking at one and thinking, oh, maybe I'll put a little bit of cooked with this. Don't feel like if you're doing a raw recipe, it has to be 100% raw. If you want to do if you wanted to toast some sesames and put them on the top, toast some sesames. Break the rules. This is the kind of things that sometimes 100% raw people get a little bit too ardent in not letting themselves have some leeway in bringing some wonderful flavors in and different things that can make a dish delicious, where it's still 99% raw, but you wanted that toasted sesame flavor on there, but you didn't want to use the toasted sesame oil because you wanted to do oil-free. Well, toast some sesame seeds and grind them up in a gamashio powder and then put that on there, and you're going to have that toasted sesame flavor. But you got to break the rules a little bit if it's a raw dish, because you're going to toast those sesames. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about, where we got to loosen it up a little bit and have some fun, because I like to do it gourmet.
Well, absolutely. I think that a lot of times, like it's easy to get too much into a minutia sometimes, and you don't get the best of what you can do. I'm very much an experimental cook as well, so you've got to kind of give yourself some leeway. I'm 100% on with that. And if you're new to cooking too, give yourself 200% leeway, 1,000% leeway, because sometimes mistakes are going to happen, and sometimes you make a mistake and it was an awesome mistake, right?
Yeah. Take notes. Have a kitchen log out there. I agree. Write it down. The minute you have a eureka moment, write it down, because you'll forget if you wait to even after dinner. The minute you did it, it's like, oh, and I know exactly what I put in there. Write it down. I'm a huge advocate of having a kitchen journal every time you're out cooking, especially if you're doing explorative cooking, and take adequate notes. Because the truth is, if you're making some conversion dish, you're probably not going to make that dish again in real life for another 2 months or something. You will never remember what made it so incredible the last time you made it, because you don't, especially on ethnic foods, you don't do them every night of the week. And when you're doing exploration, which I like to do, I know I'm not going to make that Italian dish again for another month or something. And if I didn't take notes so I can go back in the journal and look at it, I'm going to make similar mistakes again, instead of exponentially growing the recipe every time I make it, because I go back and continue the notes, and they get better and better and better every time you make it. So,
and it's more and more fun as you try and experiment with things. We talk about that in my classes too, is that it's great to start with a recipe, but the most important thing is that you like it. It's great that I give you a recipe I like, but I'm not eating it if you guys want to come cook for me, I'll eat it, right? But what I want now is some of that cheese sauce. That looks delicious.
It does look delicious, and I'm like sitting here so jealous of it.
I wish there was smell-o-vision so I could waft it out to the world. Because if you could smell the smoky paprika and the role it plays in this, it's just wonderful. And it really takes it to this level where people try and go, what? No. Because you put this all on pasta or something, and or make a soup out of it. And I mean, I've served this to huge batches to hundreds of people in these AI conferences. And it's the talk of the cafeteria when we do this vegan macaroni and cheese out there. And in the case there, I am heating it up in the stove a little bit. We're moving really fast. You can't sit and blend the Vitamixes forever. But I just put it into a big, huge pan and slowly heat it up to activate the arrowroot. And it thickens up nicely. And then we put the pasta in and stir it all together in the big pan. And then it's going out in the hotel pans for the, people to serve themselves. So, but same sauce, same thing, just using the cooked version. So, and like I said, this one can go either way, and it's
That's
delicious
awesome.
either way.
It,
And there's no weird stuff in this. That's the thing that I like. I'm really a huge advocate of showing people how there's a lot of junk food vegan out there in the world. Just a lot, whether it's processed burgers, like the burgers I made yesterday will blow people's minds compared to an Impossible or Beyond Burger. Not to mention, I shouldn't say brand names out here, but I'm not into these ultra processed vegan. I think it's wonderful that they're replacing meat and getting people turned on to plant-based. But I hope that after they've had those, they're like, God, that leaves a weird flavor in the back of my mouth. That was kind of weird. What are all those chemicals in that thing? What is that lab created whatever that is emulating animal meat? You can make it yourself. Come to someone like me. Come play with me in the kitchen. I'll show you how to make something that blows any Impossible or Beyond Burger out of the world. And all of your guests will agree. It's much more delicious when you make it yourself and you control the ingredients. Everything. It's not ultra processed food. That's what we want to share.
And you're going to get a lot of that information in the bundle as well. I know a lot of you've gotten the bundle while we've been on live, and I appreciate it very much. So make sure to check out Chef James's and sign up for his stuff. You need to sign up for some of my stuff as well if you want to do the classes. Check for other people who have classes as well.
And I will have the recipe posted for this. So if they go to my Instagram or my Facebook, I'm going to put some pictures up of when I made this with my grandson Arlo, because it's very cute seeing the little kid, the 2-year-old that made this with me last week up there, and mention that they come check out this video that we just did, and I will post the recipe right there on my Instagram and my Facebook, so check them out. My Facebook is Plant Food Chef, and also Instagram is Plant Food Chef, and I'll have the recipe there if anyone wants to go check that out to see exactly how to make this wonderful cheddar cheesy sauce. Okay.
Well, awesome.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with us today. We really were glad to have you on the show, and we really enjoyed your demo and
opened my eyes to something new.
Yeah, which
right?
is not as hard as it may
try it,
seem like it is, but she's my wife, so I can say these things, right? But she just became vegan in like 2019, so she's kind of a baby, which is great. But I usually do all the cooking. But we really appreciate you bringing your raw and raw fusion perspective out here to all of us, and I hope you have an amazing bundle.
One other thing, a lot of people that are watching this, I realize are already vegan and are already and or raw. Share this with your friends. Share this kind of video where we do make really delicious food and get them enticed to go and spend $49. That you would spend that going out to eat at any restaurant for 2 people. And you have probably 2 years worth of content to work through. You'd be lucky to get through it in 2 years. So you will have so much, have opened up and changed your life. I mean, this is a life-changing bundle. Whether it comes to physical health, mental health, the food you eat, everything, the whole whole food plant-based lifestyle is in there, and so share it because I realize a lot of people that tune into our lives are already on the bus, they're already vegan, but share this to other people, share it to other friends of yours that have some health half the people, I have 3,000 people in my academy, and I'd say at least 50% of them are coming to me to learn because they have health problems they want to overcome. Diabetes, heart disease, stroke, hypertension, those kind of things, and we do reverse it. We get them off the medications. We take the reins into their hands of personal health. That's what this is about. So,
that's a really good point. Awesome. Yeah, everybody share it, and you could get presents too. I'm sure you could get presents and gift them out as well. So that's something else you could do. Just you're going to have to make sure they download all the things. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've had that question come up with people because they said I want to buy X number of these to gift away, and you
would have to buy one. So you'd have to go and buy it with that person's email address associated with it. So if you had some questions about that,
surprise, it's true.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a way. With Sindal, it should work if you're putting in their stuff. Since it's a one-time purchase, it wouldn't be a weird thing that was going on.
Right.
But you couldn't buy like 10 of them to give out for Christmas, like a bundle of 10. You'd have to go in and put it in for everybody's information.
Individually, someone you're buying it for. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
And I had something come up today on my Facebook. Someone wrote in and said that Norton Securities was telling him that it was an untrustworthy site to go and get the bundle stuff from. And I did check with Lissa and Chef AJ, and we've talked about it, and it isn't unsafe. The number one thing is that those security packages will warn you that they think it might be. Well, I can tell you, and this is what I've been telling my people, it's safe. We've been doing this 3 years. A lot of people have downloaded from this site. It's not a spam. It's not a virus. It's not anything that's going to corrupt your system. It's
and
safe.
it has the proper
get flagged in
protocol.
Norton, but
Yeah,
just
it has
go
the
around
proper
it. Tell it-
protocol. So it has HTTPS, which does protect your information when you're buying it and putting the information in, just to be absolutely specific. Cheryl actually works in stuff like that. So
yeah.
you may have to tweak what your home one is, because if you have like security at work, it gets tweaked a certain way. So sometimes little things can happen. But I
And
just
one
went
other
to the.
thing is that when people go to download this on this same subject, they can clog up their computer. So get a jump drive. Get a separate drive, a backup drive. Because once you start downloading these things, you're going to see there's a lot. And it's going to take up a lot of space.
It's
'Cause you've
just going
got
to take
full-
up 540 megabytes, so you can actually look and see how much you have on your computer. But I think getting a free Google Drive, which is a way you can do it without actually having a piece of hardware, or having a piece of hardware like a USB jump drive, thumb
would work
drive
too.
is another way that people call it. That also works really well.
I just know a lot of people work at the edge of what the limits are on their iPad or whatever it is they're
Yeah.
tapping in from. Just downloading that much stuff all of a sudden slows everything down. So just
Yeah.
choose another path, get it onto a Google Drive, on a jump drive, something where you know you can go. And even if your computer crashed, the thing that's nice about putting it onto a jump stick is you still have it. It's not tied up in a computer crash problem. So I like to back up
Yeah.
files anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Google Drive is kind of simple. It's not on your computer, it's on the Google server. So that way when you
Great.
can download something on your iPad and look at something else on your phone, and it just gives you access from all the places.
That's
Yeah.
where I put mine. All the years past bundles are on my Google Drive. I have a huge Google Drive because I
Yeah.
have 10 years of culinary classes and things have been huge. So I pay a
Right.
little more. Plenty of space on my Google Drive, and that's where I do save it to, because I can access it, like you said, anywhere. If I'm out shopping at the store and think, oh, that recipe of Kathy's that I want to bring up, and I can go find it on my phone and then shop for the ingredients in the store because it's on my Google Drive and I can access it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I pay for my Google Drive as well, just like Chef James does. But for those of you who maybe haven't even know what Google Drive is, there's enough space on the free one for you to download this bundle. So it can just be a free option for you. Just know that too. I know some people get a little nervous.
Yeah, when you open your Gmail, there's the little dots that were lines up in the corner, and most people don't even click over there, but it opens up this little box that shows you that you have a drive, you have your contacts, you have all the, and you just go over and click your drive. It's in there. If you open up your Gmail, even if you have Gmail, you have a drive. Most people don't know
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. And if you don't, it's free to get a
Click on it.
Gmail. So,
The Gmail is free and it comes with the drive. Right, exactly.
And you guys can always email support at Healthy Slow Cooking, and Cheryl will help you, because
Yep,
Cheryl
absolutely.
is customer support around here. But again, thank you so much. I wish we were coming to your dinner party, but other than that, I enjoyed everything perfectly.
Gonna be delicious.
I know, we're going to be jealous. We have to
Delicious
go.
and
Well, thank you so much for your time and all your great enthusiasm as well. And
Yes.
it's so good to finally meet another bundle member. That's the best part of the bundle, is all the community lives and getting to know new people, and everybody getting to know that they're in a bigger whole food plant-based space than maybe they think they are, and that no one is alone in this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, have the very best day.
Yeah, you too. You too. And everyone, remember to share this and go in, and even if you haven't decided whether you're going to buy it yet, click the link, go to the page, and just take a look because you're going to be blown away.
Exactly.
And it will help in making your decision. You know, it doesn't.
Absolutely.
Just because you click the link doesn't mean you have to buy, but you can be blown away by looking at all the content.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a great point. And we do have a video where yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we went through a lot of that, and we're going to do another one of those probably tomorrow.
Nice.
Okay, everybody, have the
Thank you so
best
much.
day. And we will talk to you guys. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow on Cheryl's birthday when we're making birthday goodies for her. Okay, thank
Nice.
you again. All right,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.